Find out about the living legends of Auto Racing Parade. Learn how to protect your home from wildfires. And just what happens to your trash and recyclables after it all leaves the curb. The answer to those questions, news, and more coming right up on Volusia Magazine. I'm Amber Patterson. On the heels of several months of below average rainfall and a prediction for this pattern to continue, fire officials throughout Volusia County are on alert for possible brush fires. According to the Division of Forestry, Florida ranks second in the nation for the highest number of wildfires. And with almost a third of the population living in areas where homes and businesses intermingle with forests and wooded areas, citizens are encouraged to become a partner in fire protection in their community.
Volusia County has a large number of residents in unincorporated area that's in the wooded part of the county, and those people just need to be aware of the safe environment, which is keep that vegetative matter away from the structures that could burn, make sure that you trim back the limbs, anything dead needs to be removed, and they need to be watchful.
So far in January, Volusia County Fire Services have responded to several brush fires in unincorporated Volusia County.
The KDI is at 482, and we are constantly watching that. That is a barometer on how dry and what the drought conditions are. So 482 is pretty high. We're aware of it. We're hoping for rain, and as you know, it's been over 10 days with any substantial rainfall. We are also going to be very aggressive with instituting a burn ban if we have to keep the citizens of Volusia County safe.
Residents also are encouraged to eliminate flammable vegetation in contact with the structure. Thin trees and shrubs out so there is 10 to 15 feet between the tree crowns. Prune tree limbs to a height of 6 to 10 feet and replace flammable mulch adjacent to the structure with gravel or rock. Additional safety tips can be found online at volusia.org or by calling Volusia County Fire Services at 386-736-5940. Speed Week is here, and in addition to the roar at the Daytona International Speedway, race fans can marvel at some of the legends of racing during a beachside historic race car parade February 16th. Volusia County and the town of Ponce Inlet are partnering in the Living Legends of Auto Racing Parade. Spectators will be able to get an up-close look at the vintage race cars as they once again run down Atlantic Avenue, making that south turn onto the world's most famous beach, ending at the famed North Turn. This was the 4.1-mile course where the Grand National Races ran from 1948 until 1958, when they were relocated to the new Super Speedway, today known as Daytona International Speedway. County Manager Jim Deneen said events like the upcoming parade help remind residents and visitors of the county's rich history.
From the inlet all the way up to the North Turn restaurant, we are going to change our theme on that part of the beach to more of the white and black racing flags. So you'll see that more along here so that we show that this really is a big part of the history.
Last year, residents and visitors celebrated the historic significance of the North and South Beach ramps with a dedication ceremony which included the unveiling of 2 monuments and new beach ramp approaches and gates. All of the improvement elements feature a racing theme, such as checkerboard crosswalks on the ramps and racing flags on the gates. Again, this year's Legends Beach Parade will begin between 9 and 10 a.m. Saturday, February 16th in Ponce Inlet. Spectators should park at the Toronita Avenue parking lot. Complimentary shuttle service to and from the North and South Turn beach ramps will be provided. Every day is play day at Volusia County's dog parks, where dogs and their owners can frolic, play fetch, and make new friends. The county opened its 3rd dog park at Bicentennial Park in Ormond by the Sea just over a year ago. County staff basically turned a 4-acre sand lot into a pastoral place for pet owners to play with their pooches. Tim Bailey, the county's Director of Parks, Recreation and Culture, said dog parks are becoming more and more popular.
You know, it seems like folks are really attached to their animal, and they really want to get them out in areas to socialize with other dogs. Also let their dog just run loose, and you can't necessarily do that anywhere in the county. So this offers the owner an opportunity to actually unleash their dog, play with other dogs their size, let them run around, and it's a good visit for the dog owners to visit among friends too. So it's becoming real popular, socializing both themselves and with the dogs. I really encourage everyone to get out there and bring your dog and enjoy Volusia County Dog Parks.
Volusia County also maintains popular dog parks at Gemini Springs Park in DeBary, Barclay Square in DeLand, and all three parks feature separate sections for big and small dogs. They also feature watering stations, shade trees, and benches. The dogs have a blast chasing frisbees, running up and down hills, and sometimes just resting under a tree. For more information about Volusia County's parks, you can visit volusia.org/parks.
I'm Volusia County Chair Jason Davis, asking for you to help us make our roads safer for motorcyclists. You can save a life by looking twice and following these safety tips. Double check traffic at intersections before you pull out. Check your blind spots before changing lanes. Stay focused on your driving. Leave at least a 4-second distance between your vehicle and the motorcycle in front of you. Remember that failing to yield right of way can result in the death of a motorcyclist.
And now let's hand it over to Michelle Coates for the Business Beat.
I'm Michelle Coates with the Business Beat. Thanks for joining us today at the historical Spring Garden Ranch, the largest standardbred training facility in North America. Originally a cattle and dairy farm founded in 1912 by Frederick N. Burt, Spring Garden Ranch evolved into a standardbred racing training facility in 1949. Since then, Spring Garden Ranch, with its snowless winters, has produced several world champions, including 3 Hambletonian winners and 18 Breeder Crown winners. Famous horses that have wintered at the ranch include world champion Gallo Blue Chip, who was named Harness Horse of the Year in 2000, and Triple Crown winner No Pan Intended, whose career record of 34 starts, 18 wins, 5 second-place finishes, and 3 third-place runs banked over $1.5 million in career track earnings. The horses that have trained at Spring Garden Ranch have collectively brought in anywhere between $7 to $15 million in prize money annually. We spoke to Sandy Weiss, Assistant General Manager at Spring Garden Ranch.
It is the largest standardbred training center in the United States and Canada. We're 148 acres, and at full capacity we can handle 650 head. The whole point of our business is so that these northern trainers come down and get a step up on their competitors who have to deal with sleet and snow. They can come down here, they can train their horses and miss no training days, because if it rains and the 1 mile track is too wet, they can go to the half-mile track.
Trainers come from all over the country during the winter months to train standardbred horses for harness racing on one of the 2 tracks here. The horses that come in as youngsters leave filled out and experienced from their time on the United States Trotting Association sanctioned track at Spring Garden Ranch. During the training season, the impact of 200 to 400 horses and their training entourages is felt throughout the community.
Visitors are welcomed, of course, and they're more than welcome to make themselves at home and watch the horses. But we also have a trackside restaurant that you can see the half-mile and the 1 mile track from the restaurant. And the local businesses, we're looking at buying clay. We have to buy fuel. You know, it spreads out as far as where we reach with our customers.
Several trainers have gone so far as to buy homes locally. Many, like trainer Charlie Norris, enjoy local amenities like the Spring Garden Ranch Bowling League and golf on local courses during his days off. Norris, whose stables have housed big winners the likes of Forever Ivy and Win Missy B, took a few minutes to talk with us before heading back onto the track.
I train a lot of young horses, and there's no place, to me, Spring Garden Ranch has always been one of the top facilities to train at, and it's a great facility, and it's always been good. And, up north, you got to deal with the weather and everything, and here, you do a little bit, but very good racetrack and, a big track, and for me, for the horses to really teach them how to reach their potential is to train them on a big track and you know, to go fast with confidence.
In recent years, an average $350 million has been paid each year to winning owners at racetracks across the United States. And horse owners need only to win a tiny fraction of that to be a success. Locals can enjoy the sport 7 days a week from the Spring Garden Ranch restaurant. On Tuesdays during the spring, the track hosts qualifying races. Spectators can enjoy breakfast or lunch at the restaurant while watching daily training or the weekly races as weather permits. Tours are available of the historic property as well. Several of the original barns and outbuildings constructed in 1912 still remain and are used to host tenants such as the year-round riding horses and seasonal farmers markets, among other events. You can find out more at springgardenranch.com. Thanks for joining us today at the world-famous historical Spring Garden Ranch. I'm Michelle Coates with the Business Beat.
If you've not received your flu shot yet, the Volusia County Health Department reminds you it's not too late. With the peak of flu season coming up, it's important to take all preventative measures to protect yourself from influenza. In this segment of Community Health Matters, Stephanie Strong brings us more information from the Volusia County Health Department.
Staying healthy is a priority in order to keep up with your busy life. Concerns about germs and how to avoid them are on most minds, especially during this unpredictable influenza season. Getting a flu vaccine is the first and most important step in protecting against this serious illness.
Flu shots are the most important factor that protects us from getting the flu each year. So we encourage all people now 6 months and older to get an annual flu shot.
Everyone who is at least 6 months of age should get a flu vaccine. The influenza virus is unpredictable, and how severe it can be varies widely from one season to the next, depending on many circumstances.
Besides getting a flu shot, the other things that you can do are the very basic personal hygiene that we recommend all the time, but particularly during flu season, which are to wash your hands frequently, particularly before you eat, to cough into your elbow, cough or sneeze into your elbow, and also to try to not touch your face. Many of us have this habit of touching our face throughout the day, and that is unfortunately a way that we can make ourselves sick because we have germs on our hands that we then transmit either through our nose or our mouth, which can then make us sick.
People who have the flu often feel some of these symptoms: fever, cough, sore throat, runny or stuffy nose, muscle or body aches, headaches, and fatigue. In order to ensure that you remain healthy throughout this flu season, be sure to get a flu shot and protect yourself. For more information, please visit www.volusiahealth.com. For Volusia Magazine, I'm Stephanie Strong, Public Information Officer for the Volusia County Health Department.
If you have any questions about this or any other health-related issues, you can always log on to volusiahealth.com. Time now to head into the studio to join our Community Information Director, Dave Byron, for a chat with Leonard Marion, Director of Solid Waste.
Well, thanks, Amber, and Happy New Year, everyone. You know, the county's solid waste disposal operation is a service that most people don't see. Homeowners put their garbage cans and recycling bins out on the curb each week. Truck comes along and empties them, and that's it. But all that refuse and recycling material ends up at the county's landfill, which is a $35.4 million a year operation. It's really a business that operates without property tax dollars. We haven't talked about our solid waste operation for a while, so we thought this would be a good time to talk with our solid waste director, Lenny Marion. Lenny, Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you, and it's always a pleasure to be with you.
Hey, thanks for being with us. You know, most people, as I said, don't really see the county's backbone of the landfill operation. You have a massive facility over there on the west side of Daytona Beach. Tell us, kind of give us a description, Lenny, of your operation.
Well, basically the solid waste organization it's multifunctional. We've got disposal, collection, and recycling. Along with that, we've got public-private partnerships out at Tomoka Landfill that we also deal with. But the key portion of it is the collection for our citizens.
Right.
We have a franchise agreement with Republic Waste that provides the curbside service of recycling and yard waste collection. We have the transfer station on East 44, right across from the fairgrounds out there. That's a transfer facility where the trucks on that side of town dispose of the waste in the building. We dump it into transfer trucks and take it over to Tomoka. And then from there at Tomoka, we dispose of it in our Class 1 cell. And we have a C&D structure up there. When I say structure, it's a landfill.
Right.
We provide construction and demolition debris and MSW being household waste, along with a variety of other things. As we get into the conversation, we'll explain out.
Yeah, a very, very big operation, and Lenny, and again, a very sophisticated operation. You all have a lot of environmental regulations that you have to comply with, and you're kind of state of the art out there.
We are. We're regulated, as we know, with DEP and
Right.
Numerous other organizations that we comply with, but we provide disposal. We have construction of landfill airspace out there, along with methane to gas. Well, it's actually a gas collection methane generation plant, biosolids facility out there where we take the sludge and turn that into a soil amendment. And we have gel recycling out there where all of our curbside recycling goes and is processed and sent to market from there.
Lenny, I said at the opening that your budget this year is $35+ million, but although a component of the county government budget, you're not allocated any property tax dollars, as I understand it.
No, none whatsoever, Dave. The way our structure works, being an enterprise fund, is that we rely on the collection side of the world for residential garbage.
Right.
Is we have the annual assessment of $190 a year that the citizens pay, and that's how we pay the collector that we've contracted with for his services. And then to run the operation for the landfill, and one thing you have to note here, the operations of the landfill consist of not only putting garbage in the ground, but we've got to do long-term planning. We've got to ensure that we have capacity for many years to come for our citizens for garbage to go into. Landfill construction, capital project, we buy all of our own equipment, we pay salaries. We're required by the state to have certain amount of reserves in each fund.
Right.
The average acre per construction for a landfill development, it's about $380,000 an acre.
Wow.
Yeah, and then for closure, you're looking at $190,000 to $200,000 an acre. But we're also required to fund certain revenues. A portion of those revenues have to go into accounts to make sure that we can provide 30-year long-term care for all of our closed facilities. So it's a big matrix that we have to fund, and we run it like a private operation out there. We're not disconnected from the county, because county manager is still our boss and council is still our boss and set policy, but that funding mechanism is not relying on that ad valorem tax base whatsoever.
You know, you mentioned the fact that the county has a collection company, which I think that contract now is about a year old.
Yes, sir.
Lenny.
Yep.
And I think it's probably accurate to say that the cities have similar contracts. I mean, in other words, the county has a collector for unincorporated Volusia County, but the cities also have similar contracts within their boundaries.
Right, David. As everybody knows, we have 16 cities within the county, and each one of them run independently of our structure. In other words, they go out and they get their bids for their garbage collection, and they deal independently with a Waste Pro or WCA or Waste Management, as we do with Republic. And those mechanisms are funded independently through the cities. But they do take their solid waste and dispose of it at our facility. So we provide that service to them.
You mentioned the transfer plaza on State Road 44, transfer station. I guess it's fair to say that the refuse that's collected primarily on the west side of the county goes there, and then it's transported over to East Volusia. Is that how this works?
Correct. And the reason being is when you set up a solid waste collection matrix, the haulers look for the shortest distance to the disposal facility, and obviously that's how they make their revenue. They don't want to haul their garbage 75 miles to go dump and then have to go back on the routes. So that was strategically put there for the purpose of residential disposal and commercial disposal also.
What's the latest on recycling? Is that still a viable, environmentally friendly thing to do?
You know, Dave, during the course of the business days, you talk to the residents and the citizens and the business owners, and everybody has this perception. They think that recycling is making a lot of money, and it's really not. When you look at our collection program, you're looking at a $9 million operation a year, and our revenue recycling is about $130,000. Take the $9 million and the $130, it's not a big percentage to do that. Plastics, there's only certain areas of collection. Cardboard, aluminum, those markets are pretty good, but a lot of the stuff you have to sit on, and that being Joe Corporation, because we have a third-party agreement with him to do that. But it's beneficial, it diverts it from the landfill, it does create airspace. The state has changed the goalpost on us. They've gone to 75% now, and they incrementally grow that until 2020, that we have to get to 75%. So you got to look at different ways, innovative ways to get there to reach that 75% goal that the state has set for us.
You're saying that the state is saying that at a certain point 75% of the waste stream has to be recycled?
Yes, sir.
I don't know that I ever heard that before. When does that kick in?
It's kicked in now. Actually, we're operating under those guidelines right now.
Wow.
So there's a lot of ways to get there. I mean, through the C&D portion of reclaiming C&D, that being your metals, your wood, your scrap, getting innovative at the dump site. In other words, at the working face, at the mom and pop drop-off, extrapolating out cardboard, metal, wood, things of that nature. And we're also looking into, we're evaluating right now maybe to do a little bit of C&D, construction and demolition, landfill mining. In other words, you go in, you dig up what you've buried, and you reclaim out what is out of there. Not convinced that we're going to do it yet. We have to look at the numbers, and we have to run it up through senior management and make sure it's a good business plan. But those are some of the things that we're always looking at to get better, to get more efficient, and meet the goals that the state has put on us.
Wow.
But that's being evaluated right now.
Tell me a little bit more about this electricity generating facility that you have out there. It's basically a byproduct that you're converting to electricity, I believe.
Correct. It's in the landfill. When we build the structure, obviously we layer garbage on top of each other in what we call cells. And as you put that waste there, it starts to biodegrade and it goes anaerobic, and it starts to generate methane gas. Mm-hmm. We leave it there for a while, and then we start putting in what we call horizontal and vertical wells. And those wells are hooked up to a huge vacuum system. And what it does, it extrapolates out the methane out of the landfill, runs it into 4 Caterpillar engines, and on the other side of those Caterpillar engines are generators that in turn turns it into electricity, and then we send that out to the grid to Florida Power, and we do about 3 meg, which services about 3,800 households a year.
Wow, so that's truly a recycling operation.
Correct. We're ahead. I mean, Volusia County is keeping even, and if not a little bit ahead of landfill technology in those areas there.
Speaking of landfill technology, I'm glad you mentioned that, Lenny. You touched on it earlier, but I think you said it's something like $375,000 or something to prepare another acre of landfill. Is that what you
Correct.
said? Tell us what's involved in that.
Starting at number 1, you have to do a site assessment, and has to be approved by the geologist and all the people around to make sure that you have stability, you don't have a lot of groundwater, a lot of things that you don't want to fight. You want to make sure the contours are right. Then you go in, you excavate some material out, what they call a double composite liner. You get your sub base ready, and then you put 60 mil liner down, a filter fabric, and what we call a geogrid that lets the water travel in between the layers of material. Underground piping, which is called the leachate collection system, and then filter sand on top of that.
Wow.
So it gets quite expensive. It has to all be welded together, plastic weld. It's got to be tested. All the reports have to go to the state of Florida, and we keep pretty detailed records, construction records of
wow.
it. And then at the end of it, the construction has to be certified by the Department of Environmental Protection.
You know, we've talked about this previously, Lenny, but it's worth mentioning again, and that's the fact that way back in the 70s when charter government was being developed, one of the early decisions that those forefathers made was to purchase this acreage over on Tomoko Farms Road to meet future landfill needs. And that may be one of the most important decisions that was made back then, because as I understand it, even though Volusia County and the state of Florida continue to grow, we have capacity for the next several decades in terms of landfill needs. Is that correct?
Yeah, we're currently right now, our forefathers, they did a great job of that. That's probably one of the best long-term, long-range plans that they made.
Right.
Having your own disposal for MSW for the period that we do. Currently right now we're at about 2021 with our capacity that we have, and then we're looking at the old industrial park that we have. That is going to be turned into a landfill arena out there. So we're probably looking at another 25 to 30 years there. So you're looking 2045, 2050, somewhere in there, that the citizens have capacity for. And what that equates to is that you have a place to put your garbage.
Right.
If you don't, you expose yourself to the private sector. I don't want to beat the private sector up because I used to be private sector, understanding the government and the private sector side. But one thing is that they operate for revenue.
Sure.
And they have to make a profit.
Sure.
We don't. We operate to provide a service.
Right.
So having that own capacity and controlling our cost is a definite benefit to the citizens, being where we operate frugally on the disposal side and go out competitively on the collection side to provide collection service. It definitely provides a good benefit to our citizens.
You know, as we close our conversation today, Lenny, one of the things that you've done as kind of a token of appreciation to the citizens out there, you have this paint exchange and this kind of this recycling facility out there where people can go out and drop off some paint and pick up some others. How does that work?
What we do at the West Volusia transfer station and out at Tomoka, HHW, Household Hazardous Waste Collection Areas, what we do is we go through the material that's collected there, people, citizens bringing in. You know, you got mom and dad, mom and pop, and it's all residential, no commercials allowed to come in. They have to find their own mechanism of disposal. But the paints, the thinners, the cleaners, our staff goes through it, categorizes it. We want to make sure that we're not handing out poisons or anything else that would hurt the citizens. Go through it, and it's actually like going to the hardware store. We have shelves built up under a canopy. You walk the aisles and you find something that you like, you pick it off, and you take it with you at no charge. The paint also. We'll even mix it for you. If you're trying to come up with a color for that shed, we'll help you out there and try to mix it up. But stains, bathroom cleaners, all types of variety of items out there for our citizens.
Well, Lenny, you know, as I say, we don't often think about the backbone of the county solid waste operation. Most residents just take it for granted, but it's really one of the more significant services that the county provides. And it sounds like overall things are going pretty well.
They are. I've got a great staff. They do a great job. And our goal is to provide efficient disposal and collection service and make sure that our staff stay safe and we stay within compliance.
Our guest today, Lenny Marion, the Solid Waste Director with Volusia County. Lenny, thanks for sharing the information with us
It's always a pleasure being with you, Dave.
And with that, Amber, we'll go back to you.
Thanks, Dave, and thank you for watching Volusia Magazine. If you have any questions about our program, just give us a call at any of the numbers you see listed here, or you can log on to volusia.org. You can also watch the show online. Just go to volusia.org and select News. And we hope you won't forget to listen to Volusia Today, Volusia County Government's public information radio broadcast. Volusia Today airs every Tuesday and Sunday mornings on the local radio stations you see on your screen. For Volusia Magazine, I'm Amber Patterson. Have a great evening.